mirror, she would not even look up at you. Oh, sweet mother, she will cover her face and hide her beauty so that you cannot gaze upon her. Because once she becomes a mother, she loses all beauty, and she should only be a plain, dull woman with never-ending kindness, sacrifice. And then there's the other woman that's permissible. The sweet maiden, the virgin, the one you want to marry, who never speaks out of turn, who says, "Oh, I'm sorry I interrupted you." The maiden who needs to be told how to do things, who needs things done for her, and who, even if she knows everything about something, you, the non-expert, will mansplain it to her completely. Oh, because of course, the only thing the maiden could be good for is the hope, the promise of a little bit of love. Well, you know what is not okay and is about to be okay in this society is the type of woman who used to be okay in society. Someone who can fight, someone who can stand up for what's right, someone who can speak her mind and who can say, "Excuse me, everyone, but I was speaking, so if you will please hold your thoughts until I am done speaking, dear brothers, dear father, dear men in the room. I will completely finish explaining myself, as I am the one who knows the most about this topic, have been thoroughly educated on this topic, and am perfectly aware of all the pluses and minuses of this argument. And once I finish telling you about the thousands of books I have read on this area, the umpteenth hours I have studied, you can garner to give me your opinions, even though you have only scratched the surface of the knowledge that I have. So please, dear men, please stop interrupting me." Which brings me to Mr. Terry Weeks. So I said his name. A man of the patriarchy who oh so believed the only type of woman that is permissible is the halfway maiden, but just a mother, suddenly a mother who oh has made mistakes, so many mistakes in her life. And this is what is messing me up on the appeal in my case, because Mr. TW has not actually gotten on the record the true nature of things. I sat in a room with him all day long and he told me, "Oh, this is how you have to be, this is what you have to say." And I realized, at the time I'm like, "Sure, you just tell me what to say, sir, because I'm paying you for this and I want my baby back." I will tell you it worked, but only short term. And in the long term, that does not work. So he never questions the dad on the stand. He never talks about his poor behavior, his abandonment, his abuse, his neglect, his gaslighting, his unnecessary drama, his meanness, his abject cruelty, his harassment, calling the police on me when I say, "Oh no, sir, the baby is very, very sick. Can't you see? He's all red and limp, close to death. He does not need to go with you. No, sir, thank you very much." Always gonna call the police on me. Not one of these facts is in the record. Thanks, Mr. TW. Instead, on the record is me saying, "Oh yes, I do get very upset. Oh yes, I can overreact. Oh, I used to work out a lot to manage my emotions, but oh dear me, I just haven't been able to work out because I've been so busy taking care of my little baby. I just can't do it. So, oh dear, I should have not spoken that way to that man. Good man he is, and bad, crazy woman I am." When you read the transcript, I almost started laughing, like it's so absurd. And even the stuff he gets me to say on the record, it was like, at the time I actually, and even up until just I read the court transcript, I thought he was the only lawyer that ever stood up for me and represented me. And this is true. I will say in his defense, he's the only lawyer who sat up there and argued with the judge about taking my baby away and got all red in the face and actually thought on his feet. And when the other counsel was like leading him on the stand on his testimony, he, you know, made the right objections and was like leading the witness and explaining the answer and so on and so on. So it's not that he was a bad lawyer. What it is, except for what I'm about to tell you, what it is his mental construct of the world and how a woman should be and how a man should be and how if a woman gets her baby taken away, it's because you've made a man so angry. Let me tell you, things are about to change because there are about to be some angry white woman as well as black woman because I am sick and tired of this stuff. I think we all are. Anyways, so I wrote it out so I didn't digress because I can get to storytelling. I'm drawing. So he doesn't talk about this man. He doesn't question him on the stand. He doesn't talk about him not coming to the visits, telling him about him telling me I wasn't allowed to go on vacation, how he was trying to control and manipulate me, how he was trying to make me think one thing about the order, that I didn't have the right to take my baby to Alaska because you have to cross the border of Canada to take the boat up there. You know, he basically presents everything as me being emotional and unreasonable, and I was very sorry. He presented this basically as my fault, but he doesn't show the judge that my reactions were solely in response to the actions of someone who was making every single effort to make my life harder and more difficult than it needed to be. I already had a broken leg and a difficult man and a newborn baby. You know, there's no reason to cause drama. It's a very sensitive time. He also did not want to present to the judge that I had tried to seek a protective order literally the day before this man got a TRO. So on Friday, I tried to go get a protective order from, you know, you can go get one free at this office downtown. Well, on Monday, he goes and gets a TRO. Literally, he's like, it's like he's either following me or I knew that something really bad was gonna happen. That Thursday and Friday before, I was like having like a sense of intuition that was telling my gut and my spirit that something was deeply, deeply wrong, to the extent where I was shaking. My body physically was shaking. I was having trouble speaking. I felt in my gut very, very sick, like something really, really bad was gonna happen. And it did, and it did. That's all I have to say. If he would have, I was terrified that this man would hurt my child if I told on him. And this attorney also recommended that it would just make me look bad because I was not granted a TRO. He didn't tell me, well, there was no hearing on one, and that's like, you know, you go to that office when you've like when a man's trying to kill you and you need an emergency one, and you come in and you're like beaten and bloodied, or, you know, you maybe need a hearing on the evidence and to really see what happened, and, you know, then you can get a TRO. But to like tell me, well, they didn't give you one, so you don't deserve one. No, that is absolutely not the case. Not the case. So, anyways, he comes to one hearing, like gets all this great stuff on the record, which now, like when I need to appeal it, I can't be like, well, this is really what started things. There's nothing there for me to even use. I either have to use an affidavit, which, you know, I can do, but after the fact, it's not so great, you know? Problem is with an appeal that if you don't have the attorneys put the right things in the record, you can't appeal the judge's orders. And I just want to say, ladies, do not mediate. Don't mediate. Because if you mediate and agree to something, you have no recourse. And I think it's the worst thing, because an attorney can convince you to sign something. People are like, oh, you had an attorney in your mediation. Yeah, that's why I signed it, because he got me to sign it. There's no way on this beautiful earth I would have ever signed that horrible agreement if he hadn't have spent 2 months convincing me to sign it. 2 months. Two mediation days. Telling me over and over and over, stop. sign this. Not gonna get anything better. Screw you for the rest of your life. You can't appeal a mediated settlement agreement. You can't go back to a judge. Not a lot you can do. And unless the court deems that there's a change in circumstances, which is totally at the judge's discretion, you could have a huge change in circumstance and the judge has the legal right to not budge. Back to Mr. TW. At this hearing, so this is the TRO hearing. This is week 1. Friday I tried to get the protective order. This is Friday, a month after the final order, things were just out of hand. I was being assaulted in so many ways, more ways than one. And Monday, he gets a TRO, takes my baby out of my house. Friday, we go to a hearing. I get the baby back, but just for 7 hours, and it has to be like with 2 supervisors, like my mom and a lady from my church who was so kind and lovely to do that, Patsy. But by the 3rd day, the baby figures out what's happening and starts screaming bloody murder as soon as we take him to the car. It's just so traumatic for a young child to go through this. It's just so wrong. Based on just like being framed, you say one wrong thing. And so the next hearing is supposed to be the next Friday after I get a psychological exam. Sunday, after the hearing, Friday was the hearing, then Sunday I have a psychological exam, and then the Friday after that there's supposed to be another hearing. Well, Terry on Wednesday night, maybe Wednesday at 11 a.m. calls me and is like, oh, I'm having knee surgery that day and I'm not sure I can make it to your hearing. And I'm like, oh dear, okay, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for coming to that last hearing. I really appreciate it. Oh, well, what's wrong with your knee? Oh, dear. Oh, wow. Oh, listen for 30 minutes. Oh, dear. Well, I hope, Mr. Weeks, that you start feeling better. I'm really sorry to hear that you're having surgery. Oh, yeah, no, I totally understand. Don't worry, I don't feel abandoned. No, that's fine. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, I can find someone. Don't worry. This is me back then. Oh, dear. Now I find out if he couldn't make it, he should have sent someone else from his firm. That's how it works legally. Your lawyer can't make it, they need to send someone else. He has a legal duty to show up. Or he should have changed the hearing date to Thursday or something when he didn't have knee surgery. So I go and hire someone even worse. I mean, they just perpetually get worse. It's like my picker was off. I'm not sure if I just get artificially inseminated moving forward or just have strings of boyfriends for a year and never get married, because man, my picker on attorneys, I'm setting myself up for failure. So I hire Miss Sarah Jaffrey, and I just decide I'm gonna say their names. They can just rot because they did these things and it's in the record. So basically, she shows up with 48 hours notice for the hearing, does a great job, she hasn't filed a motion to dismiss, which she should have. She tells so basically she does a good job. She has the psychiatrist testify. I mean, it's basically oh, Miss Harp is fine. No, she's not gonna kill herself. No, sometimes women just say that. It's not a big deal. She was just angry. Sometimes really creative, beautiful women get really emotional, and these engineers with sticks up their butts, they kind of don't really understand what's going on, and they can't relate to it, and they get all pissed off and butthurt. They don't understand they're being an asshole. He understood. He knew, by the way. I finally figured it out. So the judge is he goes, okay, that's it, I've heard enough, we're going back to the MSA, which is basically our final order, everything that should be happening there, no big deal. I just won. I won. End of story. Baby gets back to mommy. let's move on with our lives. Let's quit being crazy. Let's do the right thing. Back to the final order. And I will say, Judge Arthur, he made the right decision then. I mean, he looked at me, he looked at him. He just saw two people that couldn't get along, and he said, let's put the baby back.